Hi Maya,
Hi, Srikanth. Good
how
evening.
are you? Yeah, very good evening. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So, how has the weekend started for you?
With a visit to the doctor. Been unwell for a while, so I was required to meet the doctor this morning for a review call. All good as of now.
All good as of Maya. We have about 40 to maybe 45 minutes outer limit. This conversation is being recorded with your permission. I may use this for my own learning, take this to a mentor for my mentoring. If I decide to do that, I will seek your explicit permission.
Thank you.
By end of the conversation, if you feel that this is not a recording that you want me to share with anyone else, please let me know.
Sure. Thank you so much.
When I ask questions and if you feel uncomfortable, please raise your hand. I will not go that way. In the meantime, if I get a sense we are going off track, I will raise my hand and bring the conversation back on track. Yeah.
I understand.
So what is that you would like to explore in the time we are together?
I have been thinking about what I would like to share in this coaching space. Uh, there's been something on my mind for more than a year, and I feel things have come to a head, and so I felt the need to explore and understand it for myself. Um, what I'd like to discuss today is why am I not decluttering? So it's been about a year now, and for various reasons, a combination of health, time, inclination, space, combination of all these things, I seem to have a lot of things piling up around me, and I'm fundamentally a very neat and tidy person. And so initially, while I made excuses, I kind of paused and thought, thinking, this is not me. So why am I not decluttering? Um, Even to the extent like this is a common dining space, dining table, and I literally every time during a meal time, I have to clear space for the uh, crockery and cutlery. Um, I have made several attempts to declutter. It just doesn't seem to take off. And now I've reached a point where I can kind of sense an energy just overwhelming me. So I really would like to understand, why am I not decluttering? Um, I'd like to understand because this is kind of new to me, about me. So that's what I would like to discuss today.
I am fundamentally a neat and tidy person. I've been thinking about this for a year. I heard that coming twice. I need to declutter. As you're sharing this with me right now, how are you feeling?
Higher, almost as if I'm repeating myself because I have picked this up as a thread of conversation with close people, family and friends. So it seems like a regular loop.
This mention about I'm fundamentally a neat and tidy person. What does it really mean, Maya?
Um, what we are from childhood is something that we kind of assume is who we are. And in this particular case, it is not something that I had been repeatedly told or reprimanded for. It was something that I took great pride in. I enjoyed tidying up. My mother still tells people about the childhood story of how I take out everything from a school bag and arrange it again every night. Um, and as I grew up, um, I have always taken a lot of, I like it. I like tidying up. I like clearing up. I like making the space look good. In fact, quite a few times when I try to talk to myself about this as to why am I surrounded by piles of things, I would ask myself, do I not deserve better? And who but me will create what I deserve? But somehow, what I enjoy doing, what I like doing, what gives me a sense of pride and calmness is now making me feel like it's a burden. It's I just don't want to do it. So the thing is, like, I'm not analyzing this. I just don't want to do it. So I thought that is something that I would like to explore in conversation today as to why am I saying that to myself that I don't want to do it.
The clutter which is surrounding you, what is doing to you inside you?
When you asked me the question, I think the first word that came to mind again was tired. And it makes me feel less of me. It makes me think that I can do better, which is not something that usually strikes me. When I have to do something, when I need to do something, when I choose to do something, I usually go full ahead and do it. At least for the last, I would say 30 odd years. This is a little alien to me that I need to do something or I want to do something. And I'm feeling very tired and I just postpone it. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it during the weekend. And it doesn't happen. It's not like I'm, it's not like there's a lack of time. Um, and I even think sometimes like, I'll take a corner and do just a corner. I even did that, like an action-oriented thing. So did a little bit of one corner of the house, started as usual with the kitchen, tidied up a little bit and felt good. And next morning when I walked into the kitchen, I see that shiny little corner and I'm like, yeah, now that's Maya. And but somehow I'm not able, I don't know if I'm using the right words here, but I'm not anchoring it. And it doesn't move into cleaning of another corner. I think I'm a little foxed with myself here.
When you shared about finding a corner and cleaning it up, and you said that's Maya. What other things in your life gives you this feeling this is Maya?
Good question. I think last 2 years, I have been in a space where I haven't felt too much like Maya. Primarily from a work perspective, the role changed, work changed, and I'm not doing stuff that I like doing, enjoy doing. I've reached a point where I'm good at whatever I do without any ahankaram. I am good at what I do, but I'm doing it not because I sense value or I sense impact. I'm doing it because that's a job. And I think for me, in the last 2 years, what is not Maya is the fact that when I am not me in a space, I am not changing it or I'm not walking away from it, which is something I used to do. When things were not good, whether it is work or relationships, I would work very hard to make it good, nice, worthy, respectful, beautiful. And if it didn't work, I'd get myself another life. And suddenly I find that I'm not able to do that. And now that I'm speaking with you, most probably this entire thing is like very metaphorical about my workspace. Yeah, I'm unable to declutter in my office either. True that.
What I'm sensing is Maya, the things which are around you, which you feel is a clutter, you feel there is a resemblance in your workplace.
Hmm.
Earlier, if I didn't like it, I will change it or move out of it. Now, I'm just there.
Yeah, yeah, it does go against my grain to be where I am today.
We've been in this conversation for a while now. What are you uncovering for yourself so far?
Uh, One is an acknowledgement of stagnation, both at home and at work. A realization that I took a decision. And I kind of believe in the fact that, you take a well thought out decision. And when you take that decision, you live it with grace and dignity. And I had made a conscious choice 2 years back to stay on in the job that I am in until retirement. But this whole space is so against who I am and what I am. And I think I'm being a little bit petulant about it all. And um, I'm kind of mutinous about it. So since I can't take out the mutiny in the office, I think I'm being mutinous about it at home. Like, जाओ मैं नहीं करूंगी क्या बिगाड़ लोगे so it's almost like that. So since I cannot be mutinous about my decision at office, I am being mutinous about it and surrounding myself with muck. So that's what is coming up for me.
I suddenly noticed the shift in the energy, the way that you are expressing yourself. It's from where we started, things around me are in a clutter. Now we are just moved to what is happening in the workplace. So in the remaining time that we have, Maya, what is that you would like to focus and take away from this session, which will give you a sense you had a meaningful conversation?
I believe I do have a very good sense of meaning so far, because I am now able to correlate my, like I use the word stagnation at work and replicating that stagnation at home and understanding that living a decision with grace and dignity was second nature to me. But for the first time in my life, I've taken a decision that isn't second nature to me. So living it in grace and dignity is not coming easy for me. And I also understand the foolishness of extending it to the one place that could be my haven and which could perhaps give me the strength to have the grace and dignity. So I think that why am I not decluttering is making sense now. And the folly of it all. It is interesting to note that at my age, I can be very childish. So that is also there. And I think we all have perhaps I definitely seem to be having my moments of petulant behavior. Um, so in the little time that we have with us, I would like to understand, where do I start? And how can I turn my home into a space which will give me the strength?
How do I start so that it gives me strength in the space that you are living right now? As we go through this conversation, what will give you a sense that you are moving towards that answer you're looking for?
Honestly, I know what to do. And my innate sense of being organized and tidy, it isn't very difficult to have a to-do list and do things on in a timely manner. But I'm wondering now, it's so being a sloth is so addictive. And so I don't want to know how to start because I know how to start. You know that bit where I told you, Srikanth, that I saw a neat, shiny spot in the morning, and I said, "This is Maya." And it wasn't strong enough for me to replicate it. I would like to be able to strengthen the little achievements that I have in terms of decluttering so that I can maintain, sustain it. So if I'm able to come up with a plan or a strategy or a way of ensuring that I don't slip through and build on my plus experiences, that would be very helpful.
If you're able to do that, Maya, how would that impact your overall life?
I would love coming home. I think for starters, I would feel home. And I think right now, as I'm close to retirement, that is beginning to become a very precious thought because I don't have a home. I live in a rented space, and I'm very acutely aware of the fact that I don't have a home. So if I do, when I do declutter, and I ensure that there is this beautiful space that nurtures me, it would perhaps not make me feel so homeless. Hmm. You know, Shrikant, I come from an army background and grew up as an army child, army officer's child. And we lived a life, I grew up living a life where we are in the here and now is home. And you make it home. And I've always lived by that diktat. And suddenly I am unsettled by this whole, I think it's a societal thing. Oh, you're retiring. Oh, you don't have a home. Oh, your health is bad. So I'm suddenly perhaps succumbing to the societal perception of an event in my life that's upcoming. And I believe that if I declutter and I create a beautiful space, upholding something that I have always lived with all my life, it'll give me the strength and the courage to continue living it. Where I am, wherever I am, it doesn't have to belong to me for it to make me feel home. Perhaps that is the strength that I am seeking. Thank you.
And I noticed your hand gestures, and there was so much of affirmation in the way that you stated. That will give me the strength that I'm seeking. How are you feeling right now?
I think in Hindi we say, एक हौसला अफजाई, that a reinforcement I'm good.
Maya, throughout this conversation, there are a few words that stood out. Living in grace and dignity. I'm neat and tidy. How are these words related to the way that you want to live your whole life?
I think, there's something that I said just now, um, which is about I don't need to own um, for I don't need to own for the space to still nurture me, nourish me. And the only way that it can is when I'm neat and tidy, both physically and metaphorically. And I think when you are sorted emotionally, mentally, and you are at peace. When you're sorted, you're at peace. And when you're at peace, grace is automatically who you are.
When I'm sorted, I'm at peace. Right now, in the way that you're living your life at home and your workplace, what core values are being challenged, Maya?
Uh, when I heard your question, instinctively, the first word that came to my mind was giving. And just this afternoon, I had a conversation with my daughter where I said, I need to bring back more giving in my life. The paths I've chosen, the careers I've chosen, I have always chosen default spaces where giving is a state of being. And I think in the last 2 years, I have not, see, at the end of it all, whatever you're doing could be considered giving, but it didn't give me a sense of giving. So whether it was teaching, whether it was training, facilitation, mentoring, coaching, I was always in a space of uh, giving my time, my abilities, my intelligence, my ability to be there for people was something that I always ensured that there was a space where I was giving that. And I suddenly find that I'm not able to. Um, so I believe that if I'm able to feel a little more deeply of what I'm sharing with you, and it is just a matter of time, next year I retire. So I can actually go back to doing what I do best, bring back a little more giving. So I think that is the value that is being tested right now.
If you're able to bring that back in your life, how would that feel like for you, Maya?
I believe it will give me the space to acknowledge to myself and tell myself it's a life well lived. At the end of it all, the last few years, seeing so much of death around me, I think that is all we have, a life well lived. It's interesting how the thought of giving came up, and it's just today I was talking to my daughter about like I need a little more giving in my life. So I think I feel a little less tired. I remember when we started the conversation and you asked me, and I had that sense of tiredness. I definitely have a little more in me for the coming years.
From a place of feeling tired, now feeling less tired, what do you feel happen in between for us to move from that place to this place right now?
I believe it was important uh, that I got clarity on what is it that was unsettling my presence at work and why I was struggling with that grace and dignity bit. The fact that I could not sense, I do not sense giving. And that is one. I have that clarity in me that uh, for me, it was very important that I should give. I should be able to. Uh, hmm, that is one aspect that kind of very strongly gives me a sense of calm. Okay, I've figured that one out. And I think the second thing that happened was the fact that there are times in life you need to bide your time, and it's just a matter of another year, and that makes me a little less tired. The fact that I would be able to create spaces of giving, and rather than doing things to, and the third thing that struck me was that rather than doing things that would trigger the grace and dignity, I should perhaps start with grace and dignity and, allow it to create a ripple effect around me. I think that makes more logical sense uh, than the other way around.
Having shared these three things, including you mentioned about clarity, what have you learned so far in this conversation?
And I think I'll repeat the same thing. I think I'm good. I believe I'm good. And um, I have lived a life well and done right. And I am very confident that I always will. So this is just a chapter called transition.
So we started with having to declutter the space around you. We navigated through the conversation and we arrived somewhere. Where are we in terms of what is that you wanted to take away from this conversation, Maya?
So when we started the conversation, I wanted to know, why am I not decluttering? And I have that understanding now, that it has been a combination of what I experienced at work, the fact that I wasn't able to value myself, and the fact that I realized grace and dignity should come first. I think for me, this is very, very crucial. You know, um, in fact, I think, Srikanth, if I declutter or not, I know exactly where I am now.
With this knowing, um, what are you willing to commit to?
Grace and dignity. So, so I will, I mean, I don't have to commit, I am. It's just that I need to let it surface again. It kind of just went underwater. So I just need to let it surface again. And I will. I mean, I think it's like a veil lifted, and I realized that. And so I believe, yeah, that was I think that is the pivot of who I am, my ability to have grace and dignity. And so um, at the end of it all, फौजी की बेटी हूँ, ऐसे थोड़ी हार मानने का.
Yeah, I felt a sense of pride when you said, end of it all, I'm a soldier's daughter. So somewhere in the conversation, Maya said, I want to keep building on small things and draw strength.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, the fact that as I declutter and I create beautiful spaces, I wanted perhaps the energy to replicate it and keep at it till I actually have an environment that I deserve. Um, yeah, uh, I I'm not going to say things like it's doable, because it was always doable. But I think it is important that before I move into these spaces of corners of declutter, it is important that I dissociate, uh, I think, my identity with the clutter. And I need to understand that the clutter is not me. I have grace and dignity. And I am grace and dignity. And so for me, I think it is simpler when I look at a messy table and say, grace and dignity in action. And so it is less about the visual impact, which I was hoping at the beginning of our conversation will help me replicate, but it's more of a sense of who I am That'll give me the strength to replicate.
Disconnect from the clutter, connect to who I am, grace and dignity.
Yeah. So simple, no?
So we are left about some 3 or 4 minutes. What would you like to do with that time we have in hand?
I think, thank you for giving me this experience.
You're very welcome, Maya. I really want to appreciate the fact we are strangers. We have just had one conversation, and you were willing to put yourself out there and um, have this conversation. I repeatedly kept hearing that retirement, which is there somewhere in the corner, and I felt that it was causing some kind of concern for you. Yet you went inside, pulled out, starting from the clutter, which is visual, something beyond that, and finally concluding it's Maya, who I am, is grace and dignity.
Thank you for that.
So we still have about 2 minutes. If you want to share something and summarize and close this conversation, please go ahead and do it.
I think it was a very much needed reinforcement of the fact that everything we are and everything we do deep down stems from our value, what we hold dear and what we demonstrate both. What do we value and how do we demonstrate that value? And I believe that I had perhaps lost touch and I have a very good sense now within me about having got it back. And so for me, I think that's the most precious part of the conversation today. And yeah, I will send you photographs of a decluttered home.
And I'm just waiting for it. Wish
Thank
you
you.
all the best.
In fact, just on a side note, when I looked at the books at behind you, I have a bookshelf, and the books are color coded.
Oh,
I have all the
interesting.
black paperback books together, orange together, green together, blue together. So that seemed to be a forgotten glimpse of me.
Right.
But yes, I think I think I'm very comfortable now with the clutter declutter part. So be it. But I am who I am, and I feel good about the fact that I feel energized at the end of our conversation, and I'm grateful. Thank you so much, Srikanth.
I'm very happy for you, and you're welcome, Maya.
Thank you.